quality version of no comment. Yes. That was all right. Another concern for voters that we've heard throughout the presidential election is the age and mental fitness of both candidates. Well, now in a new article from the Wall Street Journal, headlined "Behind Closed Doors, Biden Shows Signs of Slipping," the article highlights interviews with more than 45 people, including members of the Biden administration. The reporting over a course of several months of reporting, and it includes participants in meetings saying that the president has performed poorly at times and appears slower. The Journal makes the point to say that most of those who were critical of Biden's performance behind closed doors were Republicans, but it did also say it includes some Democrats. And the White House is responding to the Wall Street Journal with this, and let me read the statement. Congressional Republicans, foreign leaders, and nonpartisan national security experts have made clear in their own words that President Biden is a savvy and effective leader who has a deep record of legislative accomplishment. Now, in 2024, House Republicans are making false claims as a political tactic that flatly contradict previous statements made by themselves and their colleagues. Joining us right now, Democratic strategist Matt Bennett. He's also a former White House deputy assistant in the Clinton administration, and Brian Lanza, the former deputy communications director for Donald Trump's 2016 campaign. A piece like this, details like that, and a headline like this becomes a problem for any presidential campaign, Matt. What should the Biden campaign do now about this reporting?
Well, I think they need to make a few points about this, and they started with that statement that you read. The first is that this was the dog that didn't bark for a long time. I mean, there have been political opponents of the president meeting with him for his entire term, and they come out of the White House and they talk about things, but they never have said that he wasn't sharp in the meeting or that there was some problem. What you're seeing now is what we've seen a couple of times in recent months, which is that the Trump campaign has put out the word that they want their allies in Congress to do a certain thing. They did this with the immigration bill, where they turned against their own bill, and they did it with the conviction in New York just a couple of weeks ago, where congressional Republicans fell all over themselves to stay on message about how it was a travesty of justice. I think you're seeing the same thing here. So the White House needs to make clear that this is a political attack coming in a political season, and it's not a thing that anyone had been talking about or saying before coming out of these closed-door meetings.
I will say, though, I don't see in this Journal reporting they saying that the comments from Republicans behind closed doors are specifically, they believe, directed by the Trump campaign specifically. Overall, though, I get your point. It's what we know the campaign has been driving in questioning Biden's mental acuity, as we've heard from Donald Trump himself. So, Brian, do you see this as just a gift to the Trump campaign? Is there any aspect of this that the Trump campaign should tread carefully on?
First of all, thank you for having me, Kate. Listen, it's not just the Trump campaign. It's our own visual eyes seeing Joe Biden's cognitive decline in front of us. And so, yeah, that's going to continue to get highlighted. I mean, every time he falls down the stairs, that gets highlighted. Every time he misspeaks, every time he talks about a different decade. You know, that's not the Trump campaign highlighting these things. That's the American voters seeing Joe Biden's cognitive fitness decline over the last 4 years. And, yeah, that is a big issue. I mean, Joe Biden's on the international stage today. He's off to Paris. He's with world leaders who have known him for probably close to 20 to 30 years. They have witnessed the cognitive decline of Joe Biden. And that's the scary thing about this issue is people in the world stage have known Joe Biden for 40 years. They've seen him when he was young and vibrant, and now they see him when he's old and senile, and that makes America weak abroad, and that makes America weak here. And that's the problem. It's not his age, it's his cognitive fitness. I mean, Warren Buffett's 91. I'd still take stock advice from him. Joe Biden's 81. I'm not going to take any legislative advice from him.
I will say, though, in terms of highlighting and voters seeing it, you can also document examples of Donald Trump fumbling over things, talking about Nancy Pelosi, calling her something else. I mean, you have seen these things. It is, what does it add up to? And that gets to something of messaging, Matt.
It does. And to your point, I mean, these guys are 3 years apart. Both of them are older. And both of them have had stumbles in public, there's no doubt. But I would say that, that's about a draw. Trump constantly is making mistakes in public, and we're seeing that on our screens. It isn't just some, effort to make the case that behind closed doors something is happening that wasn't reported on before.
So, Brian, changing gears, Donald Trump now loves absentee voting and mail-in voting. Here's a statement from Donald Trump yesterday. Republicans must win, and we will use every appropriate tool to beat the Democrats because they are destroying our country. Whether you vote absentee, by mail, early in person, or on Election Day, we are going to protect the vote. We make sure your ballot is secure and your voice is heard. Just as Donald Trump in a speech said in January in his Iowa caucus victory speech this.
We have to get rid of mail-in ballots because once you have mail-in ballots, you have crooked elections.
So you should have Donald Trump stop saying that now? Is that what you would say? I mean, as a campaign matter, do you think mail-in voting is a good idea and absentee voting is a good idea?
You know, I love it with rules, and I think it's very successful with rules. And I think the challenge that President Trump has had with absentee ballots is the nuance of it. I think he lacks the ability to say universal absentee ballots that are sent to your home without you requesting it. That is a problem, and all voters should have concern with universal absentee voting, where voters not requesting the ballot and it shows up to the house one day. But I think President Trump hasn't sort of nuanced this issue because he's not a nuanced guy. But we should have
we have to get rid of mail-in
absentee
ballots. You could add some nuance in that without having to pull a hamstring. I mean, it's not hard to say that with the appropriate caveat, Brian.
Listen, he's just a blunt force trauma guy. He sees the absentees, and I'm sure he's looking at it a universal absentee. He's just saying this is bad, and I think everybody agrees. Universal absentee is bad. I come from California, where we have a very successful absentee program, but I've also seen the flaws in universal absentee. I mean, I've gone to the post office where you see ballots in the trash because a voter has changed address. Well, those ballots are being picked up by party officials on the Republican side and the Democratic side. I can't see any place where that is good for our democracy.
Brian and Bennett, blunt force trauma politics. Here we go. It's good to see you both. Thank you very much. A new hour of CNN News Center.